Jahmar Perkins. It's crunch time.
It's crunch time here live in Evansville, Indiana at the Ford Center. It's OVC tournament week. Yeah. Jahmar Perkins, Zach Peay, as always, glad to be here for crunch time. Jahmar, we got to start. How was your weekend?
Man, it was a good weekend. Just got to, relax, do some stuff. I'm excited about where I am right now, though.
Dude,
I mean,
awesome.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime type of
right.
I wouldn't say once-in-a-lifetime. Hopefully this will be done again. But it's a fun thing. It's my first time here at the Ford Center, so I'm excited to call some basketball and talk about some sports.
Right. Same here, man. I'm excited. My weekend was okay. Not too eventful, to be honest. Yeah. But the biggest thing is I was looking more forward to the OVC week here in Evansville, Indiana at the Ford Center. Hopefully we'll be here all week.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
Saturday.
that's what the goal
Saturday,
is.
OVC
Saturday is
Championship.
the goal.
We'll be here for both of the games. That's the goal.
Got to get to the quick announcement right now as we have already our first upset of the tournament. The 8th seed Tennessee State University Lady Tigers have beaten the Eastern Illinois Panthers. The final score, I believe, was 72-61.
72-61. We saw this game where two really key scorers for Tennessee State, and Gia Adams, she had 19 points, and then Tatiana Davis had 19 as well. But looking at Tatiana Davis, we saw her earlier in the contest, went down. The whole gym was silent. Thought she might have been done for the game, but she said, you know what? It's tournament time. I have to be for my team. I thought maybe she went with Mr. Miyagi in the back, got a little work done. But regardless, was really able to kind of step up for her team, and both her and Gia Adams. Gia Adams, want to note as well, the freshman of the year for the OVC. So those are two players that have really been complimenting Tennessee State. And now with that, of course, we're going to see Tennessee State take on our Austin Peay women's team in the Governors tomorrow. I think that's going to be a really fun contest. We saw, transitioning to the other scores, we saw the very first game was a really close game. It was a 72-69 win for Austin Peay, and that was because, really bad transition offense for Austin Peay. They were Tennessee State was forcing a lot of turnovers, and that was a really struggle. Now, fast forward to their last matchup, Austin Peay was able to defeat Tennessee State by 20 points, 57-37. So I think as long as Austin Peay does what they know that they can do, really take care of the basketball, I think Austin Peay can definitely take care of that basketball game tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. The Governors, a favorite probably for that game, for tomorrow's game at 1 o'clock. Our pregame, of course, starting at 12:45 on 91.9 FM, WAPX.
Yes, sir.
For Clarksville, Tennessee, and Austin Peay State University. The last time they were at the Dunn Center, we saw a team from Tennessee State that seemed to have kind of just run out of momentum and really run out of gas in the first half of that game. And by the second half of that game, they couldn't catch up. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams fight each other in the playoffs or in the tournament type style of fighting and see which one comes out on top. I got a feeling that our Lady Governors are going to be able to pass that one real quickly.
I want to talk about Austin Peay, though. They're on back-to-back losses. I mean, looking at it, SIUE and Eastern Illinois, these are two teams that we've really seen struggle. I mean, I want to point out the scores. SIUE, they lost by 10 points, 61-71. Then look at Eastern Illinois. They ended up losing 56-68. So these are two scores where we saw teams where, we thought that, they could take care of it. And you look at it, too. I like doing things by default, but it's tournament time, so anything can happen. But we lost by 12 points to Eastern Illinois. We just saw Tennessee State take down Eastern Illinois by 11 points. So, looking at the stats, Tennessee State, this is not a lopsided matchup, in my opinion. I think that it's tournament time and anything can happen, like we just saw an 8 seed upsetting a 5 seed to start off this tournament.
Yep, and so moving into the APSU men's, they play tonight, 9 o'clock tonight. They're going to play against Tennessee Tech University. The 59th overall time meeting here in the OVC tournament. However, it is the 150th, I believe, time of them to actually meet each other.
It's the 150th meeting,
inside a tournament fight. So that's going to be interesting to see two teams that have very much history against each other.
They split the season series. The first off, Austin Peay ended up winning at Tennessee Tech 58-55, and then looking at it, Austin Peay ended up losing that one at home 73-69. So looking at it, I think it's going to be a very tight contest. I gave my little score prediction we talked about earlier. I have a 68-64. I have an Austin Peay win, 68-64. That is my call. I think it's going to be a really close matchup. Like I said, both of these teams kind of balance out really well. And I think it's going to depend on certain things. I want to also point out, too, as far as the men's team, Elijah Hutchins-Everett, the true freshman out of Orange, New Jersey, won the Freshman of the Year for the OVC. That's a great accomplishment to be able to get in, and it'll be his first and last OVC accolade as we are transitioning into the A-Sun. But really good stat there for Elijah.
And that's something great to hear, too, as Austin Peay is leaving into the ASUN next year, a chance for them to maybe get the 59th win. They are the 6th seed, the men's team is. They have a great record necessarily coming into this, playing since 46 was what I had saw on the paper. Yeah. But overall, a very good matchup today between two teams of Tennessee Tech and Austin Peay, who in the last 10 games, other than scoring average, are kind of the same team.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it, Austin Peay, to focus on them, I'll talk about them. You know, our very last game of the season ended up winning 64-52 against Austin Peay, and we also won an overtime game, 68-64 against SIUE. So really kind of close, gritty games that we competed in. So nice to see Austin Peay take that one. But you know, I look at it too. Murray State game. I don't want to talk about it. Or let's talk about Tennessee Tech game too.
Let's talk
as
about
well.
the Tech game.
We saw that. I don't want to talk about the Murray State game. I mean, that's a game where we saw Austin Peay was playing pretty good basketball until that game. But the Tennessee Tech game, it was their senior night, and it's always tough to lose on your senior night. But they did. We talked about the score there as Tennessee Tech won that one 73-69. So these are close games. These are games where, like I said, I don't think anyone's coming in here deciding, hey, I know for a fact this team's going to win. Like we just talked about it, Tennessee Tech is a 2-point favorite, only 2 points. So this is not a lopsided matchup, just like I said for tomorrow with the Tennessee State and Austin Peay women's game.
And like I said, I'm going to correct myself from earlier. 1962 to now is when Austin Peay was in the OVC. Of course, this being the last year of OVC play, a 45-37 record overall. Yeah. And the men's team have walked away with five championships itself. The last time they played Tennessee Tech in a low seed like this was the 2016 run that they got, where they won 4 games in a row to get their 2016 victory. So we're hoping for a little bit of APSU magic for that final OVC time.
It's the last ride. It's the last time in the OVC, so why not end it with a bang? Why not end it with a championship? I mean, that's the best way to do it. And I think that's really going to, really solidify Austin Peay in the standings. But transitioning, though, I know you talked about some college basketball, other stuff.
I wanted to talk about college basketball. The standings right now, top 10. The first time since 2017 that 6 teams out of the top 10 lose. And that created just a complete and utter storm in the rankings, where so many people changed. Gonzaga kept number 1 at 24-3, Arizona at number 2 with 25-3, Baylor at number 3, 24-5, Duke at 4th, Auburn 5th, Kansas is 6th. You got Kentucky at 7, Purdue at 8th, Providence at 9th, and then Wisconsin pulls out the top 10 right there. Wisconsin had an interesting victory the other day, right?
Yeah, this is a crazy season. But no, Wisconsin ended up defeating Purdue yesterday 70-67. And then Kansas, you put them in the list. TCU actually beat Kansas. Want to talk about TCU? I don't know if you know, we have an Austin Peay connection. DJ Peavy for the men's team. His brother, Micah Peavy, actually plays for TCU. We actually play TCU as Austin Peay men's team. But no, looking at it, this is a year of upsets. I think March Madness is going to be very similar. And I couldn't tell you a single name on this list. You know, I wanted Gonzaga for a long time. You know, I thought that they would be, they're the top dogs. They look nice. But they lost to St. Mary's.
They did.
They lost to St. Mary's.
And a tough loss to St. Mary's at that. Like, unpredictable last-minute shot type thing. It was not what you expected. But as I look at the top 10, we obviously have to look at more than just the top 10 when we start talking about March Madness. But just looking at the top 10, I can't pick a team that's going to be primarily one to take over. Although my heart's pulling a little bit for Coach K. To talk about Coach K, his final game is this Saturday. The average ticket price for that game is
me who they're playing.
$5,392.
When you tell me who they're playing, that's
North Carolina,
the
Tar Heels.
Iconic rivalry between Duke and North Carolina. So I mean, it's like, if you told me it's expensive, but you told me that price, if we're talking about in the 5G area, I probably wouldn't have thought. When I think of 5G, I think of the cell service you got on your cell phone. I'm not thinking of a ticket game for a Duke versus North Carolina game. But no, I mean, it isn't a classic matchup. It is. But you know what? I know last time Duke kind of took care of North Carolina in a sense. I want this to be a close game. It's going to be a very packed-out house. Obviously Coach K getting the win would be nice to kind of walk out with.
It's his last home game.
I would love to see a close game in North Carolina with that matchup.
I am right there with you. I think it's going to be an interesting time to see Coach K transition out of basketball. So this is his final time doing that. Moving on into some other news, obviously. I want to stick with basketball real quick and go over to the NBA.
For sure.
The NBA standings right now that I have is I am trying to find them real quick on my lovely device. It seems like they disappeared, unfortunately. For the Eastern Conference, I got Miami in first, Chicago in second, Philadelphia in third, Milwaukee in fourth, Cleveland in fifth, and Boston in sixth. That's your top six right now. For the Western Conference, you've got Phoenix in first, Golden State in second, Memphis still in that third place, 7 games back from Phoenix right now, Utah in fourth, Dallas in fifth, and Denver in sixth, with Minnesota, LA Clippers, and LA Lakers, and the New Orleans Pelicans all waiting on the outside.
With you saying that list, wanted to focus on a couple teams from each conference. Yep. Eastern Conference, Philly, looking nice. I like the James Harden combination with
I watched that
Embiid.
I watched that Embiid pick and roll. It's deadly.
It's a nice situation. Embiid talked about he's never been more open in a situation, so it's nice to see that. And then you also talk about a player like Tyrese Maxey. He's been stepping up for Philly as well. But also another Eastern team I want to talk about, the Chicago Bulls. They're proving, are they that team? When I saw a stat where they are not doing very well against teams over 600 in the league. So it kind of makes you think, are they actually that kind of competitor, or are they kind of a tier 2 team, a little lower on that side? So it's kind of it's a debate.
With them being younger, the fan in me wants to say they're that team. But the guy that watches young teams wants to say, no, they need a year.
It's hard, though, because it's like, I wouldn't even necessarily call them a young team. They have to have a young bench in a sense. You got guys like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan,
LaVine's been there for a while, too.
Vucevic, they have players that have, kind of been, but it's their first year together. We talk about the big threes. They need that year together to kind of make things work, and I think that might be the case this season. But DeMar DeRozan's still having a great year.
And Chicago itself is known for the history of being able to be a consistent team throughout. So it's good to see the Bulls back in contention, back doing something, because it's doubles. You can't help but see the Bulls in, especially with Michael Jordan and the history with that franchise with Jordan and Pippen and all that, being a winning franchise. I want to move over to
the Western Conference.
The Western Conference.
And then, I know you want to talk about it, so I'm going to let you take it over. There's a certain player that used to go to we're in the Ford Center,
Yeah, we got to mention him.
I think he might have played here,
He
went to Morehead State.
John
Moran. I think he knows this area well, and he knows
the 50-piece he dropped the other night was beautiful.
Points. And he had some nice highlights to go around with that. I mean, he destroyed Jakob Poeltl in the paint with that dunk. Had a nice, 0.4 seconds left, a buzzer beater to end the half. I mean, he had some great stats.
He did.
I mean, but he's proven since his college days that he is a great basketball player. And I think people talked about, the young athletic player, like, will he be able to last? Will his body kind of deteriorate?
Yeah.
Will he still? But I think he has a certain kind of bag where his athleticism helps him, but I think he'll still be good without the athleticism.
He gets a lot of ramp right now compared to Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
And if you compare the stats for the first few seasons of both players, he's actually outdoing Rose right now. Yeah. And Rose was a league MVP, right? I honestly think Morant's got a chance to be a league MVP. Maybe not this year, but in the future for sure. Because the way he's playing, he's each time he has stepped up and gone higher and higher and
higher.
It's
interesting because you see guys like DeMar DeRozan, and then you see guys like Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid is in a situation. He's one of the tops, but now he has James Harden coming in here the second half of the season. So will that take away? I mean, is he going to lose some stats? So I got DeMar DeRozan right now, especially if they can keep staying high in the conference, regardless of who they're losing to. If they can get that record high, they'll be good. But no, I think it's going to be fun. I want to talk really quickly because we talk about them, and I mean they're a household name, the Los Angeles Lakers. They have been struggling.
And for me as a LeBron hater, I'm not a hater, but when it comes to the conversation, I prefer the Michael Jordan GOAT conversation to the LeBron James GOAT conversation personally. Yeah. But I don't like seeing the Lakers lose because they have so much talent and you want them to be good. But right now, they're not doing it together. LeBron is the only one performing really on the team. I think AD just came back from injury. Or he's fixing to come back from injury, if memory serves correctly.
I'm not sure. I'm not showing the status right there.
I'm not sure about his status, but I did hear he was looking better.
Yeah.
But even then, you still got Russell. You're not doing great with that either. Nah. So the Lakers are trying so hard, and LeBron says until I'm 12 feet under, I've got a chance. So
and I think
we'll see.
I think for Lakers fans, it's a little tough. You saw guys like Malik Monk. Yeah. You saw him step up for a minute, keeping some decent figures, and now he's kind of gone back down like, that was just a little flash. So now we're seeing the Lakers. It's a little bit of a struggle for them.
And so moving on, I want to talk about just real quick NFL news. Yeah. It's the NFL Combine. It's the NFL Combine right now, and with the NFL Combine, it's going to start tomorrow. It's yesterday, and it's going to go all the way through till next week on Monday. So the biggest thing is just wondering who's going to be coming through with that. I'm not going to touch a lot about that, unfortunately, because that's a lot of prediction in players, right?
Yeah.
But what I do want to talk about is just some free agency talk. Carson Wentz looks like he's going to be leaving Indianapolis. The Colts are going to be shopping for a quarterback. You've got the Pittsburgh Steelers shopping for a quarterback. Yep. Russell Wilson removed all of Seattle off of his social media accounts, but now has said that he's going to stay in Seattle. Aaron Rodgers has yet to make a decision. So my question to you is, are any of these guys going to make a decision before we come back on the 16th? Because that's when free agency starts.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough. I feel like a lot of these players, they want to wait it out because they know that they can. And when I look at it, Russell Wilson, I would say I think that he's staying. I think that his career there. I think that if they can just maybe if they can commit to an offensive line in the draft, maybe if management can kind of let them know, hey, we're going to get you some pieces, just hang tight.
Right.
Maybe that'll kind of influence them. I'm looking at guys like Jimmy G. I think he's gone. I mean, I think that's something
Jimmy's going
for
somewhere
sure.
else.
Maybe the Tampa is what people are saying. Maybe the Commanders, something like that. I would like him in Tampa just because I think he can fit into that Tom Brady role a little bit better. But I don't know. A lot of these players, I think, Aaron Rodgers, I have no idea. I don't want to make any predictions on him.
Right, and with Rodgers was rumored to go to Denver. Then he was rumored to stay in Green Bay. Then it was like, is he going to Nashville? Now it's no one knows.
Yeah.
And so the biggest issue right now that I see, especially with Washington Commanders, right, you mentioned them. They're in the running for Wilson. Then they were in the running for Rodgers. Now they're in the running for Carson Wentz. Then they were in the running for Teddy Bridgewater. No one knows.
Yeah. No.
And it's the best time to be an NFL fan. For the first time in years, no Tom Brady at all. Besides the time he was hurt. And then you've got all of this endless possibilities as NFL free agents.
It's crazy, too, because I know you say it's the best time to be an NFL fan, but it is not the best time to be an MLB fan. That's it's not the best time to be an MLB fan right now. You're going to talk a little bit more about that.
I do. It is finally official. No more opening day. The first two series have been canceled by Rob Manfred as I got an email last night that told me about this lovely cancellation. 16 and a half hours of deliberation. 5 different proposals. A sixth and final proposal sent and declined by MLBPA, and Manfred blamed the players. Instead of blaming the fact that they can't come together, he blamed the players.
Yeah,
that is the worst thing to do.
It's not, and he could have just came out with a statement like we have not been able to be at odds. But that is a kind of low blow to kind of blame the players.
It is.
But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's both sides are to blame. I think it's kind of like how much it's too much pull, and I wish it could be a neutrality there to kind of come up with the agreement. But it's tough. I mean, I think I really consider I understand the players want to make their money, but I'm thinking of the fans, man. I'm thinking of these long-time baseball fans that have been watching baseball their whole lives. We saw a pandemic take out baseball.
We did.
And now
it shortened the season.
And now the pandemic is not at fault. We're talking about a strike, so it's tough as an MLB fan.
Well, as an Orioles fan, it's happy because I can't lose 100 games if you don't play 100 games. So for me, it's great because I don't have that possibility.
Very true.
But overall, I want to get back real quick to OVC before we do a wrap up.
For sure.
You mentioned your scoring prediction for tonight for the men's game being a 4-point game, and you've got Austin Peay winning, right?
For sure.
I'm going to be the bad guy. Even though I'm from Austin Peay, I'm going to be the bad guy.
Okay.
I got the men losing by 2 points in a final shot.
2 points in a final shot.
On a final shot. Probably the worst bold prediction ever, but that's me right now. I've watched them play. I don't know, man. It's going to be a tight game. They both meet each other.
It is. I definitely say single digits.
But I'd like to talk about real quick.
Not
EIU. My apologies. Tennessee State University versus Austin Peay Lady Governors. The Lady Tigers versus the Governors. Which one's winning out of that one? What's your score prediction for that game? And who's the player to watch the most for you on that game?
Austin Peay really scares me. If it wasn't for these last couple of games, I'd say Austin Peay by 25. I'd say they really dialed down and win it. But because of these last 2 games, it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit saying will they come? Will they show up? Will they execute? So it's kind of hard. I don't know what Austin Peay's team are going to see coming into this game. So that's the real struggle for me. But personally, I have faith in Austin Peay, and I think they come here and show up. I think Carly Pace and Yamaya Johnson have a great game. I want to shout out happy birthday to them as well. Yamaya Johnson's birthday was on the 28th, and Carly's was on March 1st. In my opinion, the 2 biggest buckets. Actually, also congratulations to them. They got both were postseason all OVC team. They were both first teams on that. So big shout out to them, but also celebrated a birthday as well. But I think those 2 show up tomorrow, and I think definitely double-digit win for Austin Peay.
Definitely a happy birthday to Pace and Johnson, obviously. I think Austin Peay Governors come out of that game a good 5 to 8 points ahead of TSU.
Okay.
We've watched how they played against the Dunn Center.
You don't say double digits.
No, I don't think double digits. Only because it's playoffs.
It's tournament time.
Tournament time. So
I see that a little bit.
I can't discredit a team that just came out and beat EIU.
That's true.
By some pretty good margins.
That's true.
So overall, I think that's going to be
beat the press for Austin Peay, and then you get a good dub.
You've definitely got to beat the press coverage, and especially and I said coverage, obviously the full court press. Austin Peay, the Governors have struggled with the full court press. We saw TSU bust that out against EIU just a couple of moments ago as we were looking at everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Lady Governors respond to that because they have struggled with full court press.
It is. They have, and that's something where it's a practice. I mean, they're at practice. I know that they actually stayed in Clarksville. They're not here right now. They're actually, as we speak right now, they're in practice right now. So I think that's definitely something they're going to be working on as far as really trying to execute and help each other out and really work and work on that offensive press, because that is what's really going to, I think, dictate the game and how it goes.
My players to watch, of course, for that game is still Carly Pace and Yamiah Johnson as well, because you can't talk about the Governors for the women's team without talking about the two key players, with the one starting and the 6 men coming off the bench as well. The wonder, of course, is going to be is if they've got Shai Booker coming back or not. We did not see her the last game. I hope she's back.
She'll be there. I'm saying she will be there. And looking at it, too, I like Ella Sawyer, too. I think Ella Sawyer is one of the most, focused players on the team. And I think a place like this for the tournament, I think this is where she's going to be locked in at.
I agree with you there. I think that's a standpoint. I want to switch real quick over to the men's team, as I forgot a stat. The Murray State Racers, who are undefeated in the conference of the OVC, are unfortunately right now ranked 22 overall. They do not have to necessarily win this tournament in order to go. If they do, they just prevent one of their own teams from going in.
Personally, I 100% want Austin Peay to make it to the championship and win it. But it would be great for anyone but Murray State to win, just so we can see two teams get represented from the OVC. It's a nice look for the conference, even though we are transitioning. It's still a nice look that we were in this conference in the last season. But no, I mean, Murray State has been playing good. Also, shout out to KJ Williams. He did get OVC Player of the Year for Murray State. So it's definitely competitive. It's something that I think if we do match up with Murray State, the plus side is it'll be in the championship, so we can kind of avoid them for Austin Peay. Now if we do defeat Tennessee Tech tonight, we'll pick on Morehead State. Morehead State is not a matchup where we are favored in.
Morehead State 13-5 on the season for conference record. They were 21-10 overall. The biggest thing that I want to talk about with Morehead is Morehead plays as a complete team and is probably one of the only teams that could actually beat Murray. On a one-on-one.
Yeah, and I say that I would say them and Belmont, I think they're kind of tight contestants. I think Morehead State kind of is a little bit more athletic, so they can kind of match up a little bit well. But I want to talk about, too, like you said, 77-52. The last time Austin Peay took on Morehead State, they ended up losing.
So not good.
Yeah, it's going to be a different situation. Like we said, it is tournament time. So this is a situation where we see 8 seeds win. We see upsets. We talked about the 2016 situation with Austin Peay. This is a team where every time you walk into this floor, you're 0-0 because it's win or go home, and that's the situation for both of these teams.
I definitely agree with you on that standpoint. Is the fact of it is that, with tournaments, as we've talked about March Madness, anything can happen in March when it comes to basketball. But, Jahmar, I want to thank you for coming out with me this week to be here as well. It's been a great time being able to travel up here. We have a great crew running our sound and stuff today, so I want to make sure that I give credit to those people there. I want to thank you, Steve Sawyer and David Ellison, for helping us set up today's show for Crunch Time. We have our Ghost crew as well, so that's always fun, too, to have our Ghost crew. Jahmar, once again, thank you so much. It's great to be here. I can't wait for the future games.
Tell everyone who's listening, Yeah,
if you get a chance, you got to listen to 91.9 FM, WAPX FM, Clarksville's 91.9, Magic 91.9 in Clarksville. That's where you'll catch the games. Tonight, 8:45 is the pregame, and tomorrow we'll have a 12:45 pregame for the women's game as well. This has been Crunch Time. We'll see you next time.